Dillon Danis, an MMA fighter who is disliked by many. Now, me personally, I actually think he's pretty funny. But anyway, many have come to hate the guy. Dillon Danis is a Bellator fighter. Now, if you're like me right now and you're wondering what Bellator actually is, it's basically just take the UFC and like reduce the budget by like 85%. But seriously, it is one of the largest sports promotions in the world, and they host MMA fights. Dillon Danis is a mixed martial artist who has had 2 fights in his Bellator career. Now, on the surface, Dillon Danis is a normal fighter, but Dillon Danis has created a massive stir on the internet. Let's take a look at exactly why he's so hated. So quickly, we'll run down his Bellator career. It won't take long. He fought twice. First time, he won by a toe hold. Anyway, he won, and you have to respect it. The second time he won via a less homosexual way. He's a Bellator fighter, and also helped Conor McGregor train, a normal MMA fighter, but it gets a lot deeper than just that. Let's go to UFC 229. So after Khabib destroyed McGregor, Khabib jumped the cage and seemed to attack Dillon Danis. However, prior to this, Joe Rogan claimed that Dillon Danis was shouting insults at Khabib. I guess he was trying to help Conor win by getting in the mind of Khabib. Obviously this didn't work, but Khabib had enough and jumped the cage and attacked Dillon Danis. Dillon Danis was fined $7,500, and nothing really happened after this until March 2019, where he told Ariel Helwani that Khabib was taunting him throughout the event. Dillon Danis after this was seen as this guy who just stands on the side, provokes the situation, and then that's just it. He wouldn't fight Khabib, but he just wants the attention from bigger fighters. And you'll probably notice this trend a lot throughout this video. Now, there's a ton of controversies, such as the time he got choked out by a bouncer, or when he accused a UFC fighter of offering peds prior to a UFC fight. He's always looking to pick a fight. All of this led to nothing. This was simply for him to just be talked about, for his name to be in the headlines. I'm not gonna lie, I respect it, because at the end of the day, it worked. But then there's publicity which isn't good for any reason. His crypto scam. In February 2023, CoffeeZilla accused Dillon Danis of accepting money to promote an NFT scam. Now, he got the bag, but he was promoting this fake NFT to his audience, knowing it was a scam.
Here is I drew up a contract for Dillon to...
In CoffeeZilla's video, he showed that Dillon Danis clearly didn't even read the contract, because in the contract, it stated it was a scam. Dillon Danis signed it instantly and posted about the NFT scam. The site he promoted was fake, and he did this all for $1,000. Now, me, for example, I would never scam my audience for $1,000. Not even 10,000. Anyway, the fact he did this confirmed that Dillon Danis was a guy who really just cared about the money and fame, not fighting. All these altercations, all these fights outside the octagon, taking $1,000 to scam your whole audience, he was doing it all for money and clout. Dillon Danis versus KSI. KSI was done fighting the absolute beast in Swarms and Pineda. Here comes the guy that is all talk and likes to make a lot of noise. Sure, he'd be great at hyping the fight up, but Dillon Danis had rarely been in a proper fight. I'm not talking about outside a club, fighting Dave the Bouncer and getting choked out by him. I mean, he'd rarely been in a proper advertised event, and we didn't really know what to expect. The first issue came with the press conference, because he just didn't show up. KSI was also on Ariel Helwani's show, and he said this.
Sent an address and everything, didn't show up.
All internet talk, nothing actually happening. And then the fight was put into jeopardy. Dillon Danis said that he had no team. A safety net was already built in the fact that if he was to fight and lose, he already had an excuse, as he had no team, and already had a reason to possibly not fight due to the contract. Time goes by and finally he pulls out. Obviously it's a pain and we had to see this shambolic fight with temper instead, but Dillon Danis got clout and dipped. He did what he intended to do, get fame and leave. But the fact he didn't fight and probably was never gonna fight is frustrating and just shows this guy has a lot to say but can't actually back anything up. But this is where things got even worse for him. Logan Paul. After Dillon Danis almost disappeared from the internet after pulling out of Dillon Danis almost disappeared from the internet after pulling out of the KSI fight, his next fight was announced, Logan Paul. But Dillon Danis was quick to start becoming the villain in this situation, or some would say a comedian. I mean, these tweets are actually crazy and quite enjoyable. I love seeing this on my timeline. And the trolling for a fight honestly had never been more entertaining than this. But it got worse and worse even to the point where Logan Paul threatened him legally. But it didn't stop there, and it continued in real life. But in fairness, at least this time he showed up and didn't just talk behind the screen, even doing a face-to-face. Dillon Danis is being criticised by not being a reliable fighter that will show up. Instead, people expect him to just pull out of the fight. As much as people hate it, he's making money. Also, he got 2 billion impressions on Twitter, so Elon's gonna have to dig out of his pockets and pay the man. Also, I'm on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so subscribe.